Lori Denault from Concurrent Technologies. He is a corporation in Johnstown. In one of the past sub-seminars, I think one of the presenters, I'm blanking on her name right now, mentioned something about a project management certification. Lori is a mechanical engineer. She also has her PMP, and that's what I asked her to talk to a little bit more today. So you're going to get a flavor of a few of the other facets of engineering, and a few more places that they can go. But that said, thank you so much.
All right, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. As Brother Maurice said, my name is Lori Denault. I do work at Concurrent Technologies Corporation, and figure out the clicker again. Wanted to give you a little overview of what I'm going to talk about. Give you a little bit of my background, and then get into the project side of things. What is a project? What is project management? What does the project manager do? What is this project management professional PMP certification that you hear about? And what can you do now if you have an interest in project management? I have a couple of project examples from CTC that I've worked over the years. Some questions, and then I have some other CTC stuff if we have time. Some cool stuff we're doing. So who am I? I am an engineer, I am a project manager, but I like to be a wife and a mom a whole lot more too. So I'm married to my husband for 23 years. He's from Canada, he's French-Canadian, teaches French at Indiana High School. Also have 5 kids. Nathaniel is the oldest, some of you may know him. And my second oldest is my daughter Maya, and Eden, Lucas, and Chase. And Lucas and Chase are not twins. They are 3 months apart, so figure that out. Lucas and Chase we adopted about 9 years ago, so they needed a home and we had one, so we brought them. But I do, we also have 2 cats and this crazy looking dog named Goose that Nathaniel thought would be fun to bring home and introduce to the chaos of our family. So he's been with us for a year and a half. I love to travel. I like to spend time outdoors and cook. So the question always comes up, how did you get into engineering? Or why did you get into engineering? I went to Commonwealth Township High School. It's head south for a while. And I had a general interest in math and science, and kind of looked at what was out there opportunity-wise, and said, well, engineering doesn't look boring. So there looks to be a lot of variety. You can go stay the technical route, you can go into sales, management. So started down that path, and started to get into project management, and it's been a good choice. So, also looked engineering from my perspective offered a lot of opportunity to learn and grow and do a bunch of neat stuff, travel, and meet people. Education-wise, I stayed local, went to the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown for mechanical engineering, and then through the course of working at CTC, got a master's in engineering management through Robert Morris. I have been at Concurrent Technologies for 26 years. CTC is 20-25 minutes away. It's a nonprofit research and development professional services organization. So we don't have a product, we don't sell things. We help develop things, provide engineering services, largely to the DoD, DOE, government agencies. We do have private projects. We do a lot of security work, safety training as a company. So I started as an intern after my freshman year at UPJ, doing stuff in the lab, wire drawing, rolling mills, some injection molding, pretty much anything that needed done. Moved into some materials analysis, metallurgy work, developed product and processes that were needed for manufacturing work that we had. Did a little bit of finite element analysis, and I've got into program management, project management, and started managing some larger projects for the Navy, and most recently the Army. So I am project manager currently for CTC's armament initiatives, which I'll talk a little bit about one of those projects later. And also, I have a line of people in the design and analysis group at CTC. Along the way, just since we're talking about PMPs, I got that in 2016. So what is a project? I think we all know what a project is. You can have little ones or big ones. You can put a deck on the back of your house, that's a project. The key definition to this project in the context of project management is it's temporary. It's not something that lasts forever. It has a start and an end and an outcome, an expected outcome. So they can be standalone projects or part of like a larger program or a portfolio. And when you're thinking about a project, we call it the triangle, scope, time, and cost. Basically, what are you doing? How much is it going to cost, and when will it be done? This is what the three things that all affect each other and that you have to keep a tab on as you manage projects. What is project management? So the definition's up there at the top, the application of knowledge, skills, and tools to project activities to meet the requirements. So to get to the intended outcome, basically. This gives you the 5 phases of project management, which is in line with, talk about the certification, but the book of project management book of knowledge, they call it PMBOK. They go through the 5 phases of project management. So the first one is to initiate. And this is like the way beginning where someone comes to you with a need or an idea and says, I need this. You start to form your team then, figure out who needs it, if there's somebody that wants to fund it. It's the very beginning stages of things. Then you get into step 2, which is definition and planning. So you start to define the scope a little bit better, how much it might cost, work breakdown structure. I'll show you an example on the next slide. You break down all of the units of things that you need to do to get to the outcome. Gantt chart, which is part of scheduling. How are you going to communicate with people? You need to start planning that. You're going to have meetings every so often. You're going to set up data share areas to talk. Do you have to have program reviews? What are the rules? What can you share the information? Is it restricted? Are there certain ways you have to share it? And then a big part of planning is also risk mitigation. So every project has a risk. The goal here is to figure out what they are, what's going to get in your way of achieving the outcome that you're looking for, and then put plans in place to make sure that doesn't happen, to mitigate the risk. I'll show you one of those later too. The third phase is execution. This is where you're getting stuff done. You're working along your work breakdown schedule, tasks, and basically tracking, is everything going as planned? Am I meeting my KPIs or my key performance indicators? Is the quality tracking? Are my forecasts in line? And that goes hand in hand with step 4, which is performance and control. Are we still in line to meet our objectives? Are we going to deliver quality deliverables? And then, am I tracking with my cost and schedule? Am I doing what I said I was going to do? Or is somebody going to be upset if I don't get it done? It's twice the budget. And then the end, the short but important part is to close it. Make sure all your requirements are done, make sure your stakeholders are happy, formally close it contractually, and then take a minute and say, what did we learn, what could have we done better here? Document everything. So the next couple of slides, I'll show you some examples of things. As we move through, I tried to keep the 5 phases at the top so you can kind of see what we're doing. Just as a note. They want to hit what does a project manager do? There's a lot of stuff on here. It's the person in charge of making sure it all works to the plan. Planning it, schedule-wise, budget-wise, gathering the people, gathering the resources. Maybe you need a certain piece of equipment. Maybe you need a certain subcontractor to help that you don't have the skill to do. Looking at risk, communication, all the things we saw in the last one. That's the job of the project manager. That's their responsibility. So if you go back to work breakdown structure, when I get a proposal in that says, hey, give me a cost, a schedule, and a plan to do this, the first thing I do is a work breakdown structure. Step one, work breakdown structure. Great. Here's an example one for a mountain bike. What do I need to consider to build and deliver a mountain bike? Break it down into groups. You have the frame, the wheels, the braking system, and you just kind of list things that you need to consider. You need to design, you need to build, you need to integrate. You break it down into the smallest chunks you can in the context of meeting your objective and getting to where you need to go. From that work breakdown structure, that's where you can start to put how long is this going to take? How many people do I need to do this? How much is this going to cost? But this is always the first step, is to break down the project into smaller chunks that are easier to figure out and estimate work units. Then you move into, a lot of project managers use Gantt charts. A Gantt chart is just a visual way of looking at your schedule. You basically on the left have your work breakdown structure and all your tasks that you're going to do, and then you can put in durations of time. You can put in dependencies on other tasks, like I can't start task 2 until task 1 is done, or I can do 2 and 3 in parallel. That's the power of a true Gantt chart. This is done in Microsoft Project. Just to see dependencies and schedule, you can very easily at this point see critical path, what items are going to hold up the whole project, and what you may have some ability to slip schedule on. It's a nice visual way to plan, figure out what your overall schedule is, and track the progress along the way. You can use it as an active tool. You can also assign labor in here, labor units, and it will help you kind of estimate how many total hours somebody might need to do a project based upon the different work breakdown structure. Then we get into the estimating, monitoring, and controlling side of things with cost and schedule. So when we're estimating a project, there's a number of different things that go into the cost piece. There's the labor. How many hours is it going to take of someone's time? And then there's non-labor items like materials, maybe you need services like heat treatment or a coating. Maybe you need extra help with a subcontract. Maybe you need a certain piece of equipment you need to buy. Or you need to travel to a vendor site or travel to a subcontract. All of those costs need to be built into the estimating part. And with that estimating part, you basically establish your spend plan and your budget for your project. So it's called a baseline. You then use your baseline and track against it as your project executes. So you can see here, along the x-axis we have time, and the y is cost. So in the blue, in this case, is your baseline or your planned value. So as you go along, you can plot your actual cost, how much is this project costing in time. And there's also very fancy ways of doing this that the government sometimes makes you do. It's called earned value management, where they link schedule, cost, and budget all together and have certain work units that should be accomplished for cost and time. So it's called earned value management. There's a whole, you can teach a whole class in it, but it's just basically tracking your schedule and cost variation with technical accomplishments. So. The other thing I wanted to give you some exposure to is risk assessment. And as I said, this is important to get on the same page with your client, with your stakeholders. If they think on day one that this is a no-risk project, that you're gonna kill it, you're gonna come in under budget, you're gonna come in ahead of time, and there's no risks, and it's not, you're setting yourself up for trouble. So this is one way to formally, as a project manager, document what you see as the risks in terms of the likelihood of if they will happen during the course of the project, and then the severity, which likelihood you can see on the one axis and severity at the top. So you kind of go through each risk, identify it, rank it, and it turns out low, medium, or high. or in this case, they have a very high category. And you can also identify what type it is. Is it a schedule risk? Is it a cost risk? A scope? Is it like major technical showstopper? Does it have to do with quality, safety, security? And then you develop a plan to address each one of them. And sometimes you do it just for the high ones and kind of track the low and medium ones. But it depends on the program and the amount of risk that's involved. But it's a good way to really put yourself in the same mind frame as your client and set expectations. Because that communication is super important as a project manager. If you don't have the right expectations at the beginning, you're probably going to have somebody irritated in the end. And then to wrap it up, project closeout. This is the fun part, as long as everything went well. And you don't have to ask for more money or more time, which happens. But items are delivered, everything's good, your stakeholder's happy, you get his or her formal acceptance, document everything, close it out contractually, and archive things, and then develop your lessons learned, and then go celebrate that you're done, and start another one. So that is the overview of project management phases, and project manager responsibilities. So getting into project manager professional certification, PMP is how it's known short. That is a certification that's a globally recognized certification to basically test the candidate's ability to manage people, processes, and business priorities of a project, all the things we just talked about. It is offered by the Project Management Institute, which is the leading authority on project management globally. And their core certifications, I think the first one they kind of came out with was the PMP. The PMP, which is the second one in, that is one that you need 3 years of experience, and 4, we'll talk about it in the next slide, I think. But there's one out there that's called Certified Associate in Project Management, and that's 0 to 3 years of experience. And it looks like a really good track to get started in the area of project management. So there's also, as you continue to go along, beyond the PMP, the two on the right, there's program management and portfolio management. I never found it necessary to go to those 2 levels, but they are there and people do. So why would you go the route of getting your certification? So for me, I did it because I saw that, one, it's a nice thing to add to your resume. It gives you more value as an engineer, as a project manager. A lot of the government contracts were actually starting to require some of the contracts to have certified project managers. So it just gives you a leg up in the job market and in the professional areas. This expands a little bit into the Certified Assistant Project Manager, and then on the bottom, the PMP. So the bottom's what I have. The top, I think, is more appropriate for where you guys are in your career, unless you already have 3 years of managing a project, which maybe someone does. I don't know. But the first one is that Certified Associate Project Manager, and they said this is the perfect entry-level certification that's ideal for students. You have to have 23 hours of instruction. And they said if you have a class in project management that can count, you can get your 23 hours other ways. You can go buy into a program that gives you 23 hours of education. You can attend webinars, read books. There's a lot of ways to do that, and you can pretty much do it for free if you're motivated. There is a fee to take the test, and it's 150 questions. So I do suggest studying. It's not something you wing. I think the pass rate, they said, for the PMP exam is 60% the first time. So I did put a significant amount of effort into passing the PMP when I took it. And that's the one on the bottom is the one that I did. So after you get your, after you have 3 years of project management experience, or if you have the project assistant one, that qualifies you to take the PMP. And the details are there for that. So you basically become a member of PMI, which is Project Management Institute, and then if you have your certification, PMI tracks your certification. They have a little app on your phone, their website, whatever, and there are continuing education requirements for both of these. For mine, I have to do 60 hours of education every 3 years to renew my certification. So this is my little live today ticker. I have 447 days until I have to have 25 more hours of education or they kick me out. So they're not hard to get. Webinars, again, meetings, you can read a book. It's a fairly simple thing to do over 3 years. And it keeps you up to date on what's going on in the world. So how can you become involved now if you're interested in this? There is actually a really cool opportunity coming up in about a month. It is a fully online virtual PM Expo, March 21st. You do have to register, but it's completely free, and you can log on as you're available. But as long as you register, you can log on later and watch it after the fact. I have attended a couple of these. They're fantastic. They have great speakers. Just gives you an overview of what's going on in project management world, what's coming up. I think this year's theme might be on AI topics and some other stuff. Student membership is $32 a year, and you get all kinds of stuff for that. You get access to all of those webinars that you need to do your 35 hours. Discounts on certifications. You get a copy of the project management book guide, and digital, all kinds of digital information. And basically the network of people that you get involved with is super valuable as well. Pittsburgh has a local chapter. They do have meetings once a month. They incorporate some there are some even more local chapters. Like Johnstown had one for a while that would virtually join Pittsburgh's meetings, and just a nice networking event to get to know others in the industry and to network. And you can go get your assistant PMP certification at this point. So those are things you can do now if you have any interest, because I know you have lots of spare time in your engineering classes to do extra stuff. But they get you a leg up. So I guess before I move into some project examples, since this is a general one and I have some more specific ones, I'll give a little time for questions on just project management in general, if anyone has. Yeah.
So you said that you guys engineers do really like math stuff. Are you using anything like that in your job?
That's a great question. I did it first. I used a lot of the coursework and stuff I learned, math and science-wise at the beginning. And certainly I still have the understanding of everything that I've learned to apply to the product management side of things. But no, I don't use calculus on a regular basis or any of the other crazy stuff that you'll learn in the next 4 years. But understanding how it works and the theory of it is really, and you'll use it as you first start out and start doing stuff, and even later in life. But yeah, don't worry too much if you don't calculus. Any other questions? All right. Drink. And then I'll move into some project. So this is some stuff from my distant past at CTC. A lot of stuff I can't share, but everything on here is actually publicly released. Pictures or stuff I grabbed otherwise off of things. So CTC has been a great place to work. I've worked on ships, helicopters, all kinds of vehicles, military and commercial, material studies, manufacturing processes, a lot of finite element analysis, some renewable energy studies along the way. Kind of worked for all branches of the military and otherwise. Most recently, I did the armament systems. The Army work is what I'm primarily focused on. So the top is a picture, not of actually something that I worked on, but we did have a project where we were looking at, we did actually design a way to transport vehicles from one ship to another in sea states. So if you can imagine just deploying the ramp system, attaching it to the other ship, and having enough flexibility for the ramp to still work and transport vehicles while there's crazy sea states going on was quite a challenge that we were teamed with a couple of other people to figure out. Done some work on helicopter stuff, on the H-60s, working with Sikorsky. Did a lot of weld stuff working with the Navy. Basically looking at different weld joints and then doing some predictive analysis, finite element analysis, to kind of predict distortion, how things moved, how plates moved, so that you don't have to always physically prototype stuff. Also some vehicle analysis stuff. So the next three are actual project examples that I've done along the way. So maybe you saw some of this in past life, but this is a weld sequence planning project that we worked on with General Dynamics Electric Boat. The structure here is a made-up one that has some similarities to what they actually do in real life, which is why we can show it to you. But basically, they weld a lot of stuff for their subs and other ships in general. But this is a compartment with thick plate stuff welded together for different areas and stuff. So basically, when you weld all this stuff together, if you think about it, it gets hot, the plates move, they distort, and then it becomes a complete disaster when you go to join these subsections together. So there's a lot of work in the Navy to minimize distortion, figure out how to fixture them, figure out how to put them together basically faster, cheaper, and without rework. So this was one project that we worked on to do some predictive analysis. We looked at the software packages out there and how long the analysis was taking, because it takes a long time to build these structures, a lot of rework. So we wanted to bring analysis into the picture. And doing analysis on welding is fairly difficult. There's a lot going on, thermally, structurally, all of that. So we looked at a number of different packages, worked with some software vendors, and built something at the end that basically reduced the time to do analysis on these structures from weeks, the baseline was 6 weeks to about a week to take a look at it. And the end result was reduction in distortion for the overall structure. Second project, this is, sorry, it's crazy too. Flex track project. So this is in aircraft carriers. They have some other ships. They have systems that they use to create false floors and overhead areas. So basically, the picture on the left, they have this infrastructure in the bottom, and then they cover it up with some boards in the middle, some floorboards, so that they can easily attach equipment to it and reconfigure in a quick manner for different areas of the ship as the need arises. So they have this system to do that, but the issue was the large 10-inch I-beams there. They are aluminum alloy that was costing a lot of money to get made and taking a lot of time. There was only one extruder in the country that could make them. So they came to us and asked us to find a different design or an alternate way to make them that would reduce lead time, cost, but still meet the requirements. So, so we did. We came up with a couple of concepts and basically built prototypes, had them tested, shock, vibe, and they're actually, the solutions, at least the one, is implemented currently on some of the carriers. The big project management challenge of this effort was that we needed to have everyone on board at the beginning. Changing a design on the ship is not something that's just going to get easily incorporated. So we had to have all of the stakeholders and the people that would need to sign off at the beginning kind of incorporated with, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's the importance, here's what we're going to do to validate it. The Navy has what they call tech warrant orders, that basically they're the final authority after we've proven to them that this still meets requirements that they will sign off on. So we had multiple tech warrant holders from the Navy involved at the beginning, and in order to ensure we had that smooth transition. So the third project example I have is more recent. This is more fun, in my opinion. So the Army came to us and said, we've got these brass cases. This is small caliber ammunition. And we're looking at, we've had brass forever. And we're looking at alternative materials to make cases for ammunition. So they gave us a little material study, some money to go do a feasibility study. Well, what could we make it out of instead of brass, and why? So we did this for them. We came back and we're like, we had a couple of different options, but the one that kind of stood out was they were looking for weight savings is what their requirement was. So we came back with a stainless steel case that we were able to get some weight savings with just by switching from brass to stainless and material property wise. You've got some weight savings, and then the increased strength and stiffness also allowed us to tailor the internal dimensions of the case to make it even lighter. So we made the stainless steel case with a process called metal injection molding. So if you're not familiar with that, which most people aren't, it starts with a feedstock. In this case, it's a stainless steel powder that's mixed with like a polymer or a plastic binder. So, and then that is basically heated up in an injection molding machine and shot into a mold that is made, a tool, a die, that's made in the shape of the part that you want. At that point, the part is larger than what your actual part will be in the end because it has the polymer and the stains. So it comes out, you mold it, and this is a case. It's kind of hard to see, it's all green part at that time, so it's stainless with the polymer. Take the polymer out, so it stays the same size, but the polymer's gone. And then you heat it up in the furnace or sinter it. And then the part actually shrinks. So you start with a case like this, and it shrinks down to the actual size of about that. It's about 20% shrinkage. And so we get to the actual case tube, and we do a heat treatment to get the properties we want. At this point, this case tube stainless case tube is identical to a brass case tube in an ammunition